Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Touch Grass, the podcast where we remind ourselves that staying grounded is the key to surviving modern life. I'm your host, Wijdan Jamari, and today we're diving into something we've all experienced energy vampires. Or as I like to say, my mantra for 2025 is don't give Krag Weg. That is a very well known colloquial term in Cape Town, South Africa, meaning do not give energy away. Krach is your energy, it's your life source. So don't just give it away freely. And that's why I wanted to touch on the subject. You know that feeling when you walk away from a conversation completely drained, like someone literally just sucked the life out of you? That's an energy vampire. And they come in many forms. The friend who always needs something, the coworker who thrives on drama, even your own bad habits that keep you stuck in a loop. And 2025, they're stronger than ever. They're active on social media. They're in your workplace where you essentially experience burnout, global stress. It's all feeding the vampires. And if we're not careful, we're left running on empty. I like to say you cannot pour from an empty cup. So before you can give anything to these energy vampires, make sure that your cup is full and overflowing. And only from the overflow can you then pour into other people's cups, not when you're like just skimming the brim, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to fill your cup, and only you would know how much you need to fill your cup. And it really is a moment of reflection to think like, am I running on empty? How full is my cup right now? Do I feel like I can? And those are when you start to then dissect who are the actual energy vampires in your circle. So, how do you know if you're giving Krag Weg? And here are some very vital signs. You feel exhausted after interacting with someone, even if they didn't do anything outright harmful. And that's the thing, because we tend to gaslight ourselves whenever we are in a conversation with somebody. We walk away every time from every interaction, whether it's brunch, whether it's lunch, whether it's morning coffee, whatever the case may be, or just a simple text like, can I even answer this person right now? Do I even have it in me to answer them right now? Because it's extremely exhausting to deal with that person. And it's not exhausting because they're an exhausting person. It's exhausting because you cannot retain that amount of negativity that they're constantly feeding into you. And you must remember that there's an energy exchange that happens in those moments. So you will give off of your positive energy to make them feel better. And I like to call them the yeah, but people, because they will come to you with all of their drama and you'll be sitting there listening. And in that moment, you are essentially taking in their negativity, which means that what they are pouring into your cup is negativity. And that's where the energy drainage comes from, because you in yourself cannot retain that amount of negativity. And then once you give off of your positive energy and give them that time and give them that nurturing and that kindness of telling them, you know what, why don't you try this? Or you know what, let's have a look at it this way. Perhaps this went wrong. Let's reevaluate it. And they answer you with the yeah, but. The yeah, but is my first red flag. I'm just like, I'm so sorry. This conversation is over. And it might sound harsh. I know it sounds harsh to a lot of you because we're innately people pleasers, but it's so completely necessary. And then you're constantly giving advice, but they never exchange. Like they never take inspired action towards actually implementing those changes. And they never give you that energy back. Like when you are in the dumps, you tend to go through it in isolation, purely because you know what's going to come from that person is not going to be anything positive. It's only, if anything, going to rile you up even more. And then you get caught up in guilt traps, like feeling bad for setting boundaries. And that is essentially gaslighting yourself. I've told multiple people this year, stop gaslighting yourself. The minute I see my people are gaslighting themselves by being like, yeah, this person, like they're going through this and they're going through that. And I'm like, I get that. I get it. But let's take a back step. Are you gaslighting yourself right now? And once that spark of like awakening comes through, it's just like, I am gaslighting myself. So you get caught in these guilt traps and it's normal. And then you're doom scrolling, arguing online, or stuck in a constant comparison mode. Like that's essentially what that that energy transference does to you is that you inherently start to adapt bad habits because you really don't have the energy to take inspired action in your own life because you're so busy pouring into other people's cups around you. So, let me just tell you, does this all sound familiar? Does it? I'm sure it does. Don't worry, I've been there. And awareness is the first step to reclaiming your energy. Really just identifying it, sitting and observing the people in your circles, the people around you, even just acquaintances, because a lot of the times the acquaintances are the energy vampires. You're not that close, but like you're close enough. They know that like you fought with your aunt the other day. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, so awareness is really the first step to reclaiming your energy. And this is how I'm going to tell you how to protect your energy. Okay. So how do we stop feeding these vampires? Here are three things that you can do. Firstly, set boundaries and stick to them. No is a full sentence. Do not let anybody else tell you otherwise. And if they ask why, just be like, I'm sorry. That is my boundary. And if they really cared for you, if they respected you, if they cared for you enough, they would be like, you know what? I get it. It's fine. And when they do not, and they start to throw a hissy fit, or they don't throw a fit at all, and all of a sudden you go days without talking to them, that's how you know that those are people that are not meant to be in your circle. They're not meant to take from the overflow of your cup. So if someone drains you, limit your interactions with them. Take a step back, gain perspective, and then only from the overflow can you pour into their cup. And then mind your digital diet. Stop engaging with content that fuels negativity. Mute, block, unfollow. Do what you need to do to stop that negative stream into your life because there is a lot. And I'm not saying that you need to be disconnected from reality. I'm just saying that there comes a time when you just need to sit back and just reclaim your energy. Just call it back towards yourself, center it within your core. Just be focused on completely just calling all of that energy that you so freely give away because that's who you are. That's innately who you are. You are such a giving, good-hearted person. So just reclaim it, call it back to you because you deserve the same respect. You really do. And this is where the awareness comes in. Why is it that I can do it for other people and why can't they do it for me? And do I need that in my life? Am I somebody who needs it? These are all the questions that's going to come up in your awareness phase. So be very mindful of your digital diet as well, because that is also energy transference that you are giving away. And then recharge with intentional grounding. And you already know my favorite solution: touch some grass, get outside, disconnect, and reset. That's it. That's it. It's really not hard work. I think when people hear this, when they see things around, like, reclaiming your energy, because they're stuck in victim mode and they're stuck in this victim mentality, they tend to see it as an attack on who they are, when in actuality it's not. It's literally just taking a moment to sit by yourself and just observe your life and like gain awareness around where are the areas in my life that I feel is going, where I feel like I'm giving too much energy into and not getting it back. And is it worth having? Am I deserving of this? These are all the questions that we need to start asking ourselves, especially as people pleasers, especially as people who prioritize other people's feelings over yourself. And you know what? Let me just bring it back to our king. Um, I don't know if you guys are New Girls fans, but I am. And there's this one episode where Schmidt essentially tells Jace, so you just go around like worried about people's feelings. How do you get anything done? And that was like my biggest epiphany this year. And call it a villain era, call it whatever you want. But I literally just sat back and I was like, Schmidt was so right. How do I get anything done when I'm just going around worried about how other people are feeling? Like, oh, this one's going to take it that way. And if I'm going to ask for what I want, then they're going to think I'm this. And do you see how we get stuck in that loop of like, letting our energy slip away from us because we spend so much energy on that thought of how other people are going to react to it, when in actuality, people should be very mindful of our space as well. We deserve to take up space, we deserve to claim energy as well. Um, so yeah, if there's any life, there's a lot of life lessons that you can get from Schmidt, but if there's one thing that I learned that I am holding true to in 2025, it's that am I really getting anything done by worrying about how other people are thinking and feeling? No, I'm just gonna claim what I want and that's it. Because I've paid my dues, have I not? We all have. So reclaim your energy. I used to let energy vampires run my life. I thought I had to be available 24/7. That saying no was mean. That fixing people was my responsibility. But once I stopped giving Krag Weg, everything changed. My peace became my priority. And trust me, the world didn't end. If anything, it just got better because I opened myself up to new opportunities, newer possibilities, claiming what it is that I want, going after the things that I want to do. Starting this podcast was like a first, kind of step towards that in my personal capacity, in my career. Like things have just started falling into place. I've started my own agency. I'm working with incredible people, and I just stopped. And that all came. Let me just give you this really quick, like, history lesson about me, right? That all came from me deciding that I am done giving Krag Weg to corporate South Africa. I'm done giving Krag Weg to people who I am essentially building their wealth. And once I drop dead tomorrow and my family is mourning, they are just going to immediately send out the press release that my position is available. So am I really being fulfilled in building somebody else's dream when I know I'm meant for leadership? I was called to it because there's so much dynamic change that we need to make. And it even brought me to the thought of being a DEI hire, like a diversity, equity, and inclusion hire all my life. Because is it really about inclusion, or am I just another face in the room? And those were all the questions that I felt like only I could answer, because it was personal experiences to me that made me feel a sense of empathy to others who are experiencing the same thing, and then creating a space for them to exist and to be free and to be creative and to let their freak flag fly. Like, so those are the kind of things that you'd be able to accomplish if you, and look, it's a consistent battle. It's consistent. It's going to take an every day setting up those boundaries. Every day you don't have to explain anything, but just set up those boundaries and make it clear that you too deserve the same respect that you give the rest of the world. And so, moral of the story is, that is when your inspired action tends to take place, because now you're in a space of like actually gaining all of that energy, that and you realize how much energy you've been giving away, and then you're like, now I can do more. Now I can finally do the things that I want to do. You don't feel like being on social media anymore. You don't feel like watching other people's lives anymore. You're so busy living your own. You're so busy taking inspired action on all the things that you wanted to do. And so here's my challenge to you. This is my weekly challenge. Let's call it a weekly challenge. Identify one energy vampire in your life, whether it's a person, a habit, or a digital drain, and take one step to essentially severing the energetical connection between you and that thing, that person, that experience. And if you do, please DM me, tag me, let's talk about it. I'm available now on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You can reach me on all platforms at the Touch Grass Podcast. So please connect, drop it in the comments. Let me know how you managed to sever the energetical connection and stop giving Krag Weg in 2025. So that's it for today's episode of Touch Grass. If you like this, please like, subscribe, share, and let's keep this movement going. Until next time, protect your krag and go and touch some grass.